Hello and welcome to Car Dealer Live. My name is James Batchelor. Thank you very much for joining us for these daily broadcasts where we talk to people right across the industry. Now, today on the show, I'm delighted to say we're chatting with Robin Luscombe from Luscombe's Leeds. Good afternoon, Robin.
Good afternoon.
It's wonderful to have you on. Now, just before we begin, let me just give you a bit of background. Now, next month marks 10 years since Robin founded the business, but that's only part of the story. He's been in the trade for 40 years and he has 38 years of experience working with Suzuki. Now, in 2010, the business was formed after the acquisition of Robert Bowett Motoring, and Luscombe began trading with the Suzuki franchise. Since then, the company has expanded with Mitsubishi and very recently, in fact, MG franchises. And last year, it turned over £26 million. Now, the business is much loved by customers, and the number of awards it has is proof of that. Just last year, Luscombe's was named Best Regional Dealer for West Yorkshire in Suzuki's annual Dealer Awards. But not only that, it has also scooped the overall National Dealer of the Year award, the fourth time Luscombe's has won the top gong. Now, we're going to be talking about that and a lot more in the next 20 minutes or so. If you're watching on YouTube and have any questions, please feel free to submit them and I'll do my best to put them to Robin, but we'll start with mine. Okay, Robin, well, let's actually just start with those awards that you've got, and in particular the awards Suzuki has given to you. Now, these awards are never handed out lightly, so what's the key to your success?
Oh, we just try to do everything pretty well, really, whether it's retention or parts or accessories or used cars, new cars. Just try and keep all the plates spinning. That's what business is about, keeping all the different plates going.
And I suppose, do you, well, I've looked on your website and one thing that you very much say is that you don't like to sell cars to customers. You like to sort of educate people and take them through the car buying process.
I do my own radio adverts on Radio Air, and we came up with a bit of a strap line that says we won't sell you a car, but we will help you buy one. People don't want to be sold cars. Well, they do, but they don't want to feel like they're being sold a car. And that's worked really well for us because it just puts what we do into a little slogan. People can relate to it, and the salesmen deal with people in that sort of a manner. They can see that customer feedback's good and they've enjoyed the experience and they tell the mates. So it just snowballs. It's good.
And I suppose these days, what with online reviews, videos, customers, they know what they want to buy essentially, don't they? They just need perhaps a little bit of hand holding, a bit of reassurance, a bit of validation, I suppose. They don't want to be sold to, do they? Because they know whether they're going to buy the car or not.
I think it's our job. We're all about building trust and confidence. So if somebody's making a big purchase, whether it's £100,000 or £5,000, if that's all they've got, it's a big purchase. And you don't want to spend that without feeling very confident that spending your hard-earned money is going to be money well spent. So all we do is just try to build trust and confidence, and then people buy themselves.
Do you think customers these days they're very knowledgeable? Do you think over the last 10 years or so, do you think customers they've changed, their mentality, their approach to buying a car has changed?
Yeah, they do a lot more research. I've been saying to my salesmen that going back 20 years and what have you, they got the evening paper, they saw a few car dealerships, they set off and they drove round them on a Saturday or a Sunday. And the salesman really had to sell then, because if they didn't sell them then, they were going to the next car dealership. Now, all that research and looking at cars is done at home without anybody being able to talk to them or persuade them. So all the persuasion or helping or easing them towards coming to you has got to be done virtually, without ever a conversation. And when somebody does contact us, we've got no idea whether they're at the very beginning of the purchase research or at the very end. So we have to be careful how you deal with that customer, because it's no good telling somebody to come down for a test drive if they're just at the very beginning of the research process to decide what they want, because they're not ready. So it's just building, everything's about building trust and confidence and getting them to remember you.
Do you sort of miss the old days of sort of the hard sell, or do you prefer the current way of doing things?
I used to hate it. I could never cope with, the old-fashioned pendle, this, that, and the other, and what have you, all the horrible lines that people used to say in training courses that you had to do, and everything else, and what have you. I was always a great believer in, if I was going to buy something, I'd want time to think about it, and the last car that I'd buy would be the one that somebody says, you've got to buy it today or else it's going up tomorrow, or what, that sort of style. So I could never sell cars like that. Yeah. So this suits me, really.
And I suppose one key reason for that is that cars 30, 40 years ago, they were harder to sell because they weren't such a good product. Whereas nowadays, especially the cars that you have franchise, well, the manufacturers you have franchises for, the cars that they build these days are great, and really it's not about actively selling them, because the car very much speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Well, there's no bad cars. Used to be cheap cars, used to be bad cars, but there's no bad cars. Even the budget brands still make great cars. So it's just a matter of, does the car suit the customer? Is it the right size, shape, colour, style, price? If it ticks all those boxes, as long as they've got confidence. There's a difference between a new and a used car. With a new car, there's obviously, you don't need as much confidence in the dealer, but with a used car, you need a massive amount of confidence in the dealer to buy a used car. That's where all the horror stories come from, used cars.
No, absolutely. No. So do you think it's going to be a bit of a tough year defending your honour as National Dealer of the Year?
No, I don't have any problems. I think we've got a good sound base. We're sound financially. I don't spend my money. I invest it back in the business, and I keep plenty of cash. So we're well placed. Customers are buying cars, and I think it's more important than ever now that customers are going to need that trust and confidence. Already we've seen that people have been more interested in buying cars from us because we've demonstrated that we're taking care with sanitisation and the likes. Whereas we've noticed from what customers tell us that some other dealers aren't taking as much care. So it's all part of the confidence building exercise, and there's going to be demand. People need cars. People don't want to go on public transport. Unfortunately, for some people, there's probably going to be less places to buy cars from, but unfortunately, that's evolution. That it comes round every few years that there is a problem, and when it gets a bit harder, we lose a few, but that's just unfortunately part of life. So no, I don't have a problem. It's going to be a good next 12 months. It might not be as good as 2016 or 17 or whenever, but I don't have a fear for us not making profit.
Are the manufacturers saying anything to you, worrying, saying that there may be reduced supply of new cars?
It varies. It varies. At the moment, there's plenty of cars. I think the manufacturers have all got problems that it's a double-edged sword, because if they don't sell a lot of cars now, then the cars they've got will last longer. But the manufacturers, the factories won't be sending the cars to replace the cars that they're not selling, so then they'll run out. If we sell all the cars that are here now, there's probably going to be a shortage until the factories get going and replenish stocks. So it's almost a situation where you can't really win. All I'm doing is I'm just making sure that I've got my compound that's absolutely rammed full of new cars.
Now, one car which I suppose, I don't know whether you've been struggling to get hold of, is the Jimny. How has that been for you? Have you had to turn people away?
Chimney's been brilliant for us. Um, we don't take orders for them, we sell them when they're here. It's very unusual for Suzuki to be in a position where you've got a car where demand massively outstrips supply. Um, they're selling at a premium. I'm selling second-hand ones more expensive than list price. Um, it won't last, but it's nice while it does. It's like being a Range Rover dealer a few years ago. It's our turn, so we'll have a go.
Now it's amazing that car still gets. I mean, I was privileged to run one for 6 months last year. It was a beige one, and it just turns heads wherever you go. And I was talking to another Suzuki dealer, and they said that you get people just walking into the dealership and just handing their credit cards over and saying, "Look, I want it." And that, again, they don't need the active sell, do they?
No. It's definitely not a car you have to sell. It's a car that you have to try and source.
Yeah.
It's like a very choice used car. It's not selling it that's difficult, it's finding it.
Yeah. Now you've very recently added MG to the business. I mean, you opened your doors to MG last week, wasn't it? On June the 1st, was it? I mean, what a time to open a dealership on the first day of opening since lockdown.
Well, we should have opened on the 1st of April, but obviously that didn't happen. And then we did all the training for it back in end of February, beginning of March, end of February. So everybody's forgotten everything because, and some of the people that were trained are still on furlough. So it's a very, very, very soft launch. The cars are in the showroom, but really we're trying to avoid people going in the showroom. We haven't done any advertising for it. We've got it on the website, and people are coming to the door and they're buying cars without us doing anything. It's like, this is all right. I like it. Nice.
Well, it's an interesting choice going with MG because I mean, it's a brand that's finally finding its groove now, isn't it? It's starting to develop its own little place in the market. I suppose you've got strong hopes for that brand, I presume.
It suits where we are in the market. It suits my customer demographic perfectly. It's a good car. It's an affordable car. I'd much prefer to be in the working man car sort of sector of the market than the premium. They're nicer people to deal with, and it just suits us, and it's good. It gives us another option, and of course we've got a full EV. And Leeds, Leeds is going like most major cities. They're pushing towards EV, so having a full EV now and another one coming, and the Chinese EV technology is probably as good or better than anybody else's. So it's a perfect time. It's a good addition for us.
And of course, you've had the Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV as well, haven't you? So I suppose you've witnessed a real changing point for consumers who are coming into the showroom, and they're actively trying to make up their minds between petrol and diesel or an electric car.
Yeah, I'm not a great personal fan of electric cars because I'm a bit of a petrol head. I'm a motorcyclist and what have you. And I don't think that electric cars are going to take over the world because I don't think it's the right technology for the long term. But for the next 10 years, we're going electric. It's been good for us with the Mitsubishi PHEV, and I'm sure that the MG electric cars are going to be excellent. And neither of my other two franchises have a full electric car, so it fits perfectly with the range.
Yeah. So let's just briefly talk about lockdown. How have you found it, and how have you operated your business?
Well, initially for the first 2 weeks, I absolutely loved it. I was at home doing my garden guilt-free. It was brilliant. I've never had 2 weeks guilt-free time away. I've never had a day guilt-free time away from work. So that was all right. Then I got bored. And then we realised that it was a good time to get caught up on things. And we had a new website that was going to go live that would be working on. So we had a lot of work to do on that to get it, to get all the detail into it that we wanted. And so it was a perfect time. So we came back in the middle of April. There were 4 of us, I think. And then we were already set to go from the 1st of May opening service with just 3 technicians to begin with. And then every week we added another technician until now we're up to 8 and we haven't got room for any more. But I've just ordered a new ramp to go into a building where I've got space so I can bring another technician back. So we're flat out and booked for 10 days, 2 weeks. Really, we can squeeze an odd job in, but we're fairly booked. We were astounded by the amount of interest there was for people who wanted to buy cars and people who were happy to buy cars without ever coming to the showroom. So we were delivering cars on a flatbed, or we did a couple, but not many click and collects, basically, where they pulled up outside and we almost threw them the keys, not far off, and they drove off. So it was good. And then last week, the weekend before the sort of end of May, it was very, very busy. We were closed at the weekends, but we were selling cars online to people that were inquiring over the weekend, online telephone calls, emails, Zoom calls, WhatsApp calls, etc., etc. And then since Monday, it's been manic. In fact, we've got 3 more staff back, more than we had in May on sales to cope with it. It's been good.
Brilliant. Well, I suppose some dealers have been saying customers have been coming into the showroom a little bit anxious and a bit worried about everything, but that doesn't sound like your experience at all. It sounds like people, they know they want to buy a car and they're just going to go ahead and buy one.
Yeah, there's customers that are coming in for service mainly that are wearing masks and what have you, but we've got sanitisation. If they want to wear a mask, then it's no problem. The customers that are buying cars, they want to buy a car. If they're concerned about social distancing and anything else, they can buy it without coming to the showroom. If they're not too concerned about it, we've put 2 desks together, so we've got sneeze screens, we've got double distance desks, we've got only a couple of cars in the showroom. We're trying our very best to do it by appointment only, but if somebody drives onto the forecourt and wants to look at the car, and we haven't got anybody in the showroom and we've got room to deal with them, we're dealing with them. And we've got quite a lot of customers that are isolating and don't want to come near for servicing. Fine, no problem. When everything's calmed down, we'll pick up that slack. But there's certainly a big enough demand. Probably not a big enough demand to have the whole workforce back. But because we've got half the workforce, obviously we feel that we're busy when we're probably doing less than what we would have been doing if we'd have all been here. Yeah. It's okay. I'm not paying rent.
And I suppose, how much does business really need to pick up for you to bring back nearly all of your workforce? Is that how long's a piece of string situation?
It's not just how the business has to pick up, but it's the space within the workplace that I have to have for them.
Yeah.
Because, I'd bring some more technicians back if I didn't have to have them on a ramp next to each other. Would probably bring some more salespeople back, thinking about it, but I don't want to have too many salespeople and too many customers in the showroom at one time. So as long as we can work it on an appointment basis, where we're distancing people and they come in and they seem happy to come on an appointment. And we're doing appointment video calls where people don't even have to come at all, and that's working very well. So, we'll just let it naturally evolve and get back to where it was. I hope. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That is the thing, isn't it? Who knows? And And I suppose the best way of approaching everything at the moment is just trying to work as normal and as flexibly as possible, and see what happens really towards the latter part of this year.
You got to plan for the worst and hope for the best.
Yeah. I understand you're a big fan of technology. I mean, you can see that when you go on your website. The website's bright and it's fresh. You've got videos on there. You've got your own blog section. I hear you like to use WhatsApp as well, especially during lockdown. So technology is obviously a big part of your business.
Yeah, I'm actually a bit of a technophobe. I'm not that technically gifted. I had to get I had to get my son to set me up this camera on his laptop for today. But it's a matter of, I know that that's what people want. And the new website has been my lad's project for 18 months nearly. He joined the company, he's 29 now, I think. Yeah, it's 29. And he joined the company last year after working in London in digital marketing for 4 or 5 years. And his first major job, apart from learning everything else and doing everything else, was to create a new website. So he's been on with that. And he's brought a lot of things into the website that he knows about, which has been really, really good, because we certainly didn't have the knowledge or expertise, and the website providers that are out there we would have just had a website like anybody else's, but he's bespokely built it, and it's definitely paying off. It's working. Initially, it's only been live for 2 weeks, and it's not 100% finished. There's a few teething problems, like there always will be with new things. But it's definitely working. And, because of the lockdown and everybody started to use video calls, so this, that and the other, using a mobile phone now, they're doing a FaceTime, WhatsApp video call to show somebody a car, seems sort of very easy and simple, and why didn't we do it before?
Yeah. And I think a lot of dealers are agreeing with you, really. And if that's the difference between selling a car and not selling it, then you'll do it.
Yeah, we've got to. The industry's got to change and get away from this. I'm not giving you a price until you come down to the showroom, and when can we get face to face? And face to face isn't necessarily going to be face to face in the showroom. Face to face might be face to face virtually, or whatever, or it might never be face to face. It could just be done via ordinary phone call or email. And one of the things that we're doing is everybody comes back now. All the salespeople come back. I'm not letting them into the showroom or to deal with customers until they've had a week-long familiarisation and induction into the website, into the new back offices with the website and the new technology, so that they're aware of how we deal with customers now, to change the mindset. It's a very good time. Everybody's mindset needs to change. But when you've got a busy dealership with everybody working, that's a very difficult thing to change people's mindsets. But if you bring them back one at a time, then you can change each person one at a time. And we've got a perfect opportunity now, because we don't need everybody back in one go. So just bringing them back slowly means that we can, I wouldn't say retrain, but we can, it's almost like a reinduction back into the new normal. And that's working well, because people are seeing how things have changed and what we can now do, and getting a little bit used to it before being thrust into the main.
Would you say the recent events are an opportunity for you to sort of reset a little bit and perhaps try things which you might have had intentions of trying in the future, but you've never got round to doing them?
Yeah, absolutely. This is it's a major opportunity. As a dealer, I'm looking at it as a major opportunity, because my perception is, unfortunately, that there's going to be lots of dealers who don't have the same outlook, don't have the same views, might have the same views, but don't have a 29-year-old techie who knows how to do it. Because if I didn't have a 29-year-old techie, would be having to employ somebody or get some consultant in who's probably never sold a car in his life and would tell me how to do this, that, and the other, and charge me a fortune for it, and then you'd lose interest because I was paying too much. So it's vitally important. It's all part of a business reinventing itself, and that's why you need young people to come into a business. Any business that's, I'm nearly 59, I'm getting a bit stale, and you need young people with young ideas and energy, and I think that's really important now, very, very important for businesses nowadays through what's just happened.
Yeah. So just take me back 10 years when you set up the business. I mean, what made you take the plunge and start it?
I'd done it for somebody else, and I wanted to find out if I was good enough to do it for myself. That's simple. That's it, really.
Yeah. And was it a challenge? Was it a challenge setting it up?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was 47 years old, and I knew that if I didn't do it, then I'd never do it. I only had a little window left to give myself time to do it. So I resigned, made directorship without a business to go to, because nobody will talk to you while you're a director.
Yeah.
So just and then set about, the first Monday when I wanted to work was set about trying to speak to somebody to see if I couldn't buy somebody's business. So that took nearly 18 months from leaving to completing the deal with Robert Bowitz. Scary times, big time. Yeah. And then signing up on the day was a scary moment as well.
And of course, I suppose you opened, right in the middle or at the start of the recession back then as well. So you're well placed to dealing with these crises in business.
Yeah, it was July 2010, so it wasn't a good time. Very small team, simple business plan. I had to sell 12 cars a week. That was it. And if I didn't sell 12 cars a week, I was going to lose my house and live in a caravan. If I sold 12 cars a week, I could stop in my house. Fair motivation, that, really. And I didn't have any money left either, because I'd spent it all. So I had to sell 12 cars a week virtually without any advertising.
Yeah.
So and a very, very, very disconnected database in the business that I bought. So it focuses the mind. Especially when it was me that had walked away from the very secure job that I had, and put basically myself and my family in financial peril if I didn't get it right. So it would have been very embarrassing if I'd walked away from a good job and then failed. So that wasn't an option.
Yeah. Well, you've clearly succeeded. I mean, anyone can see that. What would you say is the biggest thing, or what are the things that have changed the most in the last 10 years?
Customers' expectations changed a lot. That's gone up and up. So the cost involved with meeting customer expectations and manufacturers' expectations keep going up, and the bill for what we have to do for the manufacturers keeps going up. So that's a big change. Regulation, that's been a massive change. Unbelievable, really, when you look at the consumer credit laws and FCA, FSA, etc., everything to do with finance, consumer rights. That's a big change, a lot of changes. But it's if you cope with them, if you find the positives and make it work for you, there's always positives in everything. You just got to find them.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, finally, Robin, what one piece of advice would you go back in time with and give to yourself when you launched your business?
Oof, heck. Um, well, I'd certainly say that, get ready for 7 days a week, 24/7. No, really. It's sort of been, I won't say surprisingly easy, but it's like anything. If you go to work and you're focused on what you're doing and you've got a passion about it and you're determined, that's it. But if you're going into it, don't bother if you're going to do it half-hearted. That's the best advice I can give to anybody. You're either in it to win it or don't bother.
Great advice, and good words to finish on there, Robin. So thank you very much for joining us today. Tomorrow we'll be speaking with Amari Supercars' Sheikh Amari. On Thursday we'll have Anton Khan and John Marshall from SW Car Supermarket. And ending the week, we'll be speaking with Nissan Motor UK's UK Managing Director, Andrew Humberston. Now, if you want to get involved in car dealer lives like these, then you can email me, james.batchelor@blackballmedia.co.uk, or James Baggett, and you can reach him at james@blackballmedia.co.uk. You can find me on Twitter at JRRBachelor or James Baggett at Car Dealer Ed, and we're both on LinkedIn, and you can message us there. And if you want to have breaking news sent directly to your phone, we've set up Car Dealer Magazine WhatsApp groups where we share the most important stories, and you can get in touch with us for those links. And on our website, you'll find a schedule for all of our upcoming Car Dealer Lives, like today's in the live section. Now, thanks again to Robin for joining us today, which just leaves me to say thank you very much for joining us, and goodbye.